Yeah, Trump wants Gaza for himself. He said that we'll get it, we'll hold it, we'll cherish it. He wants it for himself. Maybe that's what the arguments are about at the moment between him and Netanyahu.
But he says crazy things like that, and that's not been. I mean, he's walked that statement back multiple times at the White House. I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think he has bribed Netanyahu. I think Trump's interests are not with the Palestinians, but he needs this to end because his interest is with the Abraham Accords, and that's where Trump is going to make money. That's where Kushner is going to make money. So that's where I think his interests are. But the Gaza war is in his way. So he and to the point where he's talking to Hamas directly. And you have to be in a very precarious position and in a weak position to go and talk to Hamas directly if you're the U.S.
We don't negotiate.
But even when you say that he's talking to U.S. directly, it doesn't mean that Israel is not.
America's being ran by a fucking buffoon, an idiot, and a pedophile.
Trump could be Netanyahu's fucking messenger, bro.
Trump's a pedophile.
I mean, there's no indication of this, that he's his messenger.
There's no indication of that.
That he's his messenger to Hamas? No, I mean, there's no indication of that.
No, not messenger. I think they're two cheeks of the same ass.
I mean, they both have their motivations.
No, Edward, what's interesting is, with what Delulu said, we've got to be really naive to realize or think of the contrary. Simply because you have to look at American policy. America will not do anything to jeopardize Israeli security, so-called Israeli security, or Israeli interests. They will burn the US to the ground if it means securing this entity that they have in the Middle East. We've got to be naive to
but would Trump burn himself to the ground?
He would.
No, he wouldn't. He wants money.
10 years to live.
He wants money.
Yeah, but you've got to understand who is controlled by.
But his motivation.
Look at what happened in the last few weeks. The facade and the theatrical performance to tell the world that he was having a bitch fit with Netanyahu. It was all an illusion as a prerequisite to attack Iran, to put them on the back foot as in false sense of security. Everyone was thinking they were having a fallout. And overnight, as soon as they started attacking, they're back to square one again. Do you really
is there any evidence that they're... Well, is there any indication that they did not have a fallout?
Is there any indication that they did?
Yeah, well, because their objectives weren't aligned. Trump's objective is calm in the Middle East so that he can go ahead with the Abraham Accords. A war with Iran would be the opposite of what Trump wants. Same thing with Gaza. A war with Hamas would be the opposite of what he wants. So I'm just going by what their motivations are.
I don't know.
And sometimes they're lying.
I think Trump does not give a fuck about Hamas, bro. He bombs Iran. He doesn't care about Hamas.
I didn't say he did. That's right. You guys aren't listening. I said motivations.
He doesn't want a war with Hamas. He doesn't care.
If you look at the war hawks, even the war hawks in Tel Aviv, do they really want a war with Iran, personally? And if you look at the parameters and if you look at the stats, I don't think they do. They simply want to neutralize Iran's potential of nuclear because it's a threat to them. They do not want a power that can challenge them in the Middle East. They want to be.
Yeah, but this is something we agree on. I mean, yes, that's true.
But you also said that they want money, as Israel wants money from the U.S. Is that right?
No, I said that. I'm sure they want money from the U.S., but what I said was, I'm sure there is some bribery that has happened or is happening, where Netanyahu would end the war in Gaza, and Israel would get something for it.
So everything that he's been planning for 76, 78 years now, he's just going to throw it out the window?
Wait, he wasn't planning, what do you mean, Gaza?
Yeah, it is part of the plan, and if you look at what's happening now, it's kind of an opportunity for them. I'm not gonna say he's gonna win it, but from their perspective, it's an opportunity. So
Yeah, I mean, it is an opportunity. Go ahead, Wednesday.
I don't think Netanyahu wants to end this. I told you. And I say this because it's going to be, this October is going to be, what, 2 years of this? They even in between, they bombed Lebanon, Syria. They even had like a 12-day war with Iran. And they go straight back to killing the people in the Gaza Strip, the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, and to doing horrendous things to the people in the West Bank. This is their go-to. This is all they know. So I don't really think he wants to end this. He needs to keep the lie
I don't think he wants to end it either.
Make that Palestinian. Make that Palestinian.
I don't think, again, I don't think Netanyahu wants anything good for the Palestinians. I'm not saying that.
maybe he wants
something good for themselves.
Maybe he wants to, because all this that is happening now, it's affecting the U.S. along with everything that is happening internally in the U.S. Yeah, and in the next 5-10 years, we could see a disaster falling on the U.S. government. I'm not saying he doesn't want to. Maybe he does want to stop it or end it. But at the end of the day, he's not going to go against Netanyahu. Like, at the end of the day, whatever Netanyahu says is what Trump is going to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but China is more important than Israel. And Netanyahu wants the Abraham Accords too. So both Trump and Netanyahu want the Abraham Accords. This won't happen unless there is no war with the Palestinians. And Saudi Arabia said that, there would have to be a Palestinian state or an agreement to have a Palestinian state and be working on one before they do.
Why do you? I mean, I'm a bit confused, to be fair, with all due respect. We've seen time and time again the GCC, even to an extent, Saudis. They say one thing publicly, and privately they're saying something completely the opposite. With regards to what you've just said, publicly they say this, privately it's the complete opposite. We've got to stop taking them at face value simply because they've said something. Is that really what they want? I don't know.
Also, I think we're going to witness a shift in alliances. So this whole Abraham Accords.
Can you expand on that?
Yeah, I don't really think that they're going to go with it. Like, for example, even Qatar came out yesterday or today, and they said the next time Israel is to launch an attack on Iran, we're going to stand with Iran, Saudi Arabia, they made it clear, like, if you don't have a state of Palestine, we're not going to sign the Abraham Accords. So I don't really think that people or countries in that region are too comfortable with this anymore. Maybe the UAE is the only one.
No, I don't know. I disagree with that, brother. You don't, because we have to understand, when it comes to material support, publicly, fair enough, they will not recognize Israel. But when it comes to material support, investments, the Saudis are investing. The GCC, by and large, is investing in Israeli technology and Israeli companies. When they want to support militarily, they supported Israel. So what are we doing publicly? They're saying we're not going to recognize. Fair enough. I'll concede to that point.
What would
Materially,
stop them from ending that support?
no, but this is public relations, isn't it? Publicly, they won't accept it. But materially, when it comes to when it comes to the foundation or the crux of the matter, they're supporting it militarily. They're aiding and abetting it. They're financially investing in it. So what have they got left publicly to say, oh, okay? So that's all that is, to be fair. All that is left for them is to say that, okay, we accept Israel, or we acknowledge that they exist, or we're going to have diplomatic relations. Everything else is already hunky-dory. It's already, it's already in the process. Investments are going through. But some of the biggest arms, some of the biggest arms manufacturers in Israel, the bombs that are being dropped on Gaza, the aeroplanes that are being used on Gaza, the companies that are building this technology, half of them are fucking financed by the GCC.
And if we don't do it,
so how can we say they don't accept?
I don't know if they're financed, but I mean, that's,
illegal immigrants.
I did say this earlier, like multiple times.
They invest heavily in defense.
But you said earlier not to take them at face value, and for like 20 minutes now, I've been saying I don't take anyone at face value. I look at their motivation. And for the Saudis, no, the Saudi MBS doesn't want anything to do with the Palestinians. The Saudi family, has a disdain for Palestinians. I think it's, I don't want to get into why, but however, the Saudi people and the Islamic world, if Saudi Arabia wants to be a credible player within the Islamic world, being the representative of the Islamic world, that's how they see themselves.
I think that's all changing, Edward.
That ship is long sailed.
2032 is
That
changing.
ship is long sailed. Saudi doesn't give a shit anymore.
They care about this.
They don't care about it anymore. They don't care about the facade. They don't care about keeping face anymore. Those days where you needed
why are you saying this? Why are you saying it though? Like, where's your, what are you pointing to that makes you think they don't care? Because MBS did say that my own people would kill me if I don't.
They would show some freaking response right in the beginning when everything was in the air. People were getting all flustered. The world was sort of talking about it. Saudi kept very quiet. And right after that, shook hands under the table. They don't give a shit anymore. And they don't care about representing the Islamic world anymore. I mean, you can see it with the blatant, with the blatant charade and the pageantry of calling Nicki Minaj and your Kanye's, etc., during concerts by the Kaaba. He doesn't care. MBS became like this.
Being the head of the Islamic world is a very powerful position. Saudi Arabia would not give up that position. They would actually like to keep her.
If he cared, he wouldn't invite Nicki Minaj.
Well, I don't think Nicki Minaj is going to affect if, Saudi Arabia is going to be.
They know, they've established a very singular principle, going off of the hadith that says, do not revolt against the hakim or the ruler.
They're afraid of revolt.
To be a very popular Wahhabi hadith circulating in those circles. Why do you think there was no revolt?
They are
Muslims, and they can do what they want, when they want, and how they want to.
Okay,
that's how
they are afraid of revolt. MBS has said so. MBS has said so. That he doesn't care about the Palestinian cause, but his people do, and they would kill him if he doesn't. If he goes, joins the Abraham Accord. Number two, to give up being the head of the Islamic world, or the representative of the Islamic world, voluntarily just giving it up. No, there's no way in hell that Saudi Arabia would do that. That is a very powerful position.
It's a powerful position. A while ago. I mean, he wouldn't
okay.
in prison.
Why would he give up such a powerful position?
Say that again?
Why would a nation give up such a powerful, geopolitically powerful position?
He's never going to lose it. He has it all set up.
But he said they don't care about it anymore.
No, that's idiotic. He has it all secure for himself. If there were to be a revolt, there would have been one a while ago. When he came and said, the ahadis, I'm going to kind of reduce them, make them, whatever the heck he wanted to do that went against like the hardcore fundamentalists of his country. He does what he wants. I mean, and he's never going to lose his position as that pseudo-faithful Islam.
So if I may, I think there's a problem with the GCC because there's a little bit of falsity going around here. So the GCC do not export their military hardware to Israel, but it's the other way around, where the Israeli defense firms, because of the Abraham Accord, have given their weapons to the GCC.
I started my day off by going to my favorite marketplace called Donald.
What
I'm
I'm saying is that if
I
you're
absolutely
wondering
love their
why
matcha. It's
these
high quality
fighters
and their stuff is so nice. And they also have a lot of
coming
turkey.
to
And they also
Israeli
sell
hands,
sushi. You have a strand of your
that's
hair.
because the
Trying
UAE
this makes crumble
and
cookies. Starting off, we have a biscuit
was either I think it was Bahrain or Oman, one of the two. They're the ones who partner with Israel on defense, right? So,
that was an out of 10. Up next, we have a raspberry
Saudi's not
cookie.
involved in that one specifically.
Let's unbox some baby Molly
They,
pocket brands. These are $50 each.
not necessarily the way you think.
Okay,
Not
Give the evidence if you'd like.
let's
I
get
mean,
some wings.
Yes, I know what you're
Mexican sheet
pointing
spice.
at, but the
Ranch.
problem with the whole Jared Kushner
Have a
incident
bite.
was the one where Saudi was forced to invest. And the
I
reason
really
why I
wanted
say
this
this
flavor.
is
Cheese sauce.
back in 2016, around the 2016 elections, and
Let's
Trump
unbox this
won,
$300 blind box.
he kind of went over to
Trying more beautiful
the
dessert?
Middle East, said you have to invest with Kushner and all that stuff, whatever. And then I think it was Kuwait that said, no, we're not going to do any of this. Mind you, they're part of GCC and everything. And Trump and Republicans went on this entire tirade about bombing Kuwait, or it was Qatar, one of the two. And what do you say? It was very stressful for those 4 years about what was going on. Now, with that being said, Trump again, when he does all these dealings, these countries also understand that Trump is so like kind of hostile towards them that if they don't do his bidding, then there's going to be just talks about bombing over and over again. So it's kind of like this really weird song and dance about like how to appease the United States while also being really hands off as well. But that GCC weapons, like F-35 sales, that's strictly and directly from the UAE, and that is under direct supervision of the U.S. as well. None of the other GCCs allow for that to happen, including Saudi Arabia. So that's the problem in that sense, and then basically with some of the information there. As for this whole this whole claim about like how Saudi wants to be like whatever Muslim nation or whatever, it doesn't really help the conversation when we have to understand that we need to look at the substantial facts and the reasoning behind them as to why the actions were taking place. And I solely think that, at least right now, under a Trump administration, a Trump presidency, if I have to look at Saudi Arabia's involvement with the GCC, and if it has to do something with Israel, I know 100% it is because Trump has this entire thing about like going banana modes on them, and they have to kind of respond to that. Because under every other presidency, they did not respond in kind when another U.S. president requested the same thing out of them.
We'll see. Hopefully a ceasefire will come soon. But,
I have a feeling that the UAE will be very problematic in this whole ceasefire thing, and it just takes Israel's side completely, because the UAE has sold out the Palestinians completely.
well, was the UAE and Egypt, or was it Egypt and the UAE that Israel was talking about coming in initially to transition to a new government in Gaza?
I thought that was UAE and Bahrain.
No, it wasn't Bahrain. I don't remember Bahrain being involved.
Bahrain is my views on Bahrain is they're genuinely an asshole where they go ahead and act nice, but then behind like closed doors they do some of the most evil shit.
Yeah, but that the name doesn't sound familiar. I think it was UAE and Egypt, I want to say.
What was the claim, Edward? What were you saying, sorry?
This is a couple of weeks ago when they were saying I believe it was the UAE and Egypt going in after the ceasefire and taking charge of Gaza and until it transitions into a new government, so taking it away from Hamas. Hamas responded with whoever comes in would have to ask us for permission first, or else they'll be treated as enemies. They didn't say no. They just said, you have to deal with us first. You have to deal with us also. I thought it was Egypt and the UAE that was floated around. I could be wrong though.
Also, I'm just kind of curious because I was hearing this a little bit in the background. But how did Wahhabism come into play?
Nutgus was mentioning that. I don't know how much Wahhabism has to play in this because Saudi Arabia has, been for the last decade neutralizing the Wahhabi movement in Saudi Arabia. Not that it's gone, but they've been actively ousting Wahhabi people from, positions of power, things like that.
Well, Saudi Arabia actually is not was not neutralizing just Wahhabis. Saudi Arabia, like as my previous colleagues, they mentioned earlier, they want like to to turn the page on the ancient image of Saudi Arabia as a reference as a leader of the Muslim world. They don't want that. They don't want any of that. They want to change that that how can I say this stereotype that Saudi Arabia is basically the leader and the main representative of the Islamic world. They just trying. It's not trying. It's MBS basically. He's so inspired by the advancement. According to them, it's advancement of the UAE, and at some at some level, he sees the Emirati leaders as his competitors, even though both countries they are allies and they led a lot of coups, whether in Yemen or the attempt to occupy Qatar, at least on 3 occasions. The last one was 2017. He's just like he wants to change everything. Okay, he's a guy who was raised as the spoiled boy. He practically had no serious education. He's basically the loser child who wanted to shine up, and he made it clear that okay, we don't want Wahhabism, we want that modest Islam, okay, that is which is open to all religions and all ethnic groups and so on. But it's not really that. Again here, I'm going to support the thing being said earlier that Saudi Arabia is secret, is never Saudi Arabia in public, never. There's two faces. There's two images of Saudi Arabia. Okay, there's public Saudi Arabia, the one, okay, as he mentioned, we want a peaceful Islam, okay, that is can deal with everyone, and we deal with everyone. That's mean including Zionists, because for them, they want the picture to their world that there's no difference between Zionism and Judaism, which is something that people who are maybe well educated about the topic would probably say, yo, it's crazy. Zionists and Judaism, even Jews themselves, they would say the same. There's a huge difference between Zionism and Judaism, and Zionism would never definitely in any case represent Judaism. But these guys, these idiots, including Sisi, by the way, President of Egypt, MBS, the other guy of UAE, the people leading Bahrain and all these traitors, they would all do the same. They would all do the same marketing, trying to show Zionism as the same as Judaism. Okay, so if we talk about an Islam that is open to everyone, okay, and everyone is welcome, and we have no problem with Christians or Jews. Yeah, it's okay to have a problem with Christians, but when it's Jews, yeah, that would include Zionists basically. So that's the picture, and that was a lot of people, I'm not sure if Hamas said that publicly, but a lot of analysts on Al Jazeera, for instance, they mentioned that when Hamas, launched the war back in, October 2023, they were actually did that because Saudi Arabia was in talk with indirect talks with Israelis about a normalization agreement, to follow the steps of the UAE and Bahrain, and they were even targeting and visualizing similar talks with Oman in the future. If you were paying attention to news in the last, say 3 to 4 weeks, there's a very controversial picture. It was on the streets of Tel Aviv. A very big picture. I have it on my phone, even because it was really shocking, showing those leaders, Benjamin Netanyahu with Trump, and around them some Arab leaders, including who? MBS, the Omani Sultan, okay, Tariq bin Haytham, okay, the new Syrian president, Sisi, the King of Jordan, all the guys that they think they are the good ones, And if you are a good one, according to the Israelis, according to Zionists, you know to which club you belong. So it's not a secret that actually Saudi Arabia.
It's also not like black and white, like how you paint it. There is something called balance of power, and you think people that embedded in politics for 70 freaking years in that region wouldn't understand what America is for the Israelis and how they are protective of it. People that went into wars on several freaking occasions, the people in power, either Sisi or MBS or MBZ or all of these people, they also understand the balance of power and what kind of capabilities that they can.
I'm not talking about that. I was answering Edward about the Saudi Arabia, okay? If they would accept, a normalization agreement,
they will never.
Regardless of the state.
Oh no, but I wasn't asking that question. The claim that I made was, and I don't know who brought it up first. I was saying that Saudi Arabia would be crazy. They would be insane to give up.
Never.
No, not that. They would not give up their position as the so-called representative of the Islamic world. That's not a position that they would give up, because that's a very, very powerful position geopolitically, especially when it comes to soft power. And it's also, being, what's the king of Saudi Arabia? The official title is, custodian of the two holy sites of Islam. So this is directly tied to legitimacy of the royal family, of the monarch in Saudi Arabia.
But what they did, they already did. They gave up on that position. Well,
to who? To what? Zionists? Now you're going to tell me Medina and Mecca belong to Zionists?
In the eyes of Arabs, okay, they had no shame when Gaza was bombed. They had this festival.
Well, you're going to something totally different here. I'm saying that Saudi Arabia, okay, their legitimacy depends on being the custodians or caretakers of the two holiest sites of Islam.
They have their position secured, Edward. I'm telling you, they have their position secured.
It's secured.
If the Muslim world wanted to revolt, they would have done
We're not talking about
a long time ago when they party.
No one mentioned
the children
this.
were being killed.
Nobody mentioned revolt. No one is saying revolting. I'm saying the legitimacy of the Saudis is dependent, and I don't know why everybody's arguing with me about this. This is really basic.
They are very established
this is basic.
already. They can do whatever they
No,
want.
this is basic.
No, they can't.
Nargis and Tari, you guys are both completely wrong.
Edward, let me just mention something quickly.
Okay, but you're okay. That's fine.
Can I just something quickly? In the past, every Saudi king had a title, called Khadim al-Haramain Sharifain, that's means the servant of the two holy places of Islam. That title they gave up. They gave up that
They
title.
did not give up the title. What do you mean? The Saudi king did not give up the title.
The Saudi king is no longer called Khadim Haramain. The only kings, first, it began with King Fahd. He was the first one to adopt the title. So there were there were like 3 or 4 kings before him. Okay, then came King Fahd, following the revolution that happened in Mecca. Okay, I remember. I don't remember. Like it was. I think in the 70s. What? Yeah, Juhayman revolution. So he decided to have that title in order to give himself the legitimacy you are talking about. But currently, they stopped doing that. Don't care. Do you know, like Islamically again, and from a historic perspective, that title was specific to the Khalifa. Okay, so and since the fall of Khalifa, like a lot of royal families, a lot of monarchs, they wanted desperately to be the representative of Islam. So the royal family of Morocco, they call their king Amir Mu'minin. That's mean the prince of help people here, prince of believers or the leader of believers. Same thing in Jordan. They call themselves.
Wait, do you have anything that says that the Saudi king Salman has abdicated his responsibility for the 2 holy sites of Islam?
Actually, Edward, I can prove the complete opposite, because here's the thing. Well, hold on. I'm gonna actually speak with facts now. Because this whole what do you say, thinking whatever MBS is supposedly doing, that's not factual at all. So the custodian of the 2 holy mosques, yes, it was first formalized. It was King
in 1986.
Yeah. King Fahd. Sorry, I don't remember the name. Yeah, but it was King Fahd, right? And then there was a King Abdullah
after him.
Yeah.
And then
there was a King Abdullah after him, and Salman. Yeah. So the thing is, they all still kept the title. However, in 2023, Saudi Arabia went ahead and added 2 titles onto this. So one that was established in, I think, the 2010s, and one that is being established currently right now. One being the presidency of affairs for the 2 holy mosques, and then the general authority, right? The reason why I remember this, when MBS was trying to argue this point about wanting to become the authority of Islam, he went ahead and called Iran, or the Ayatollah, the modern day Hitler, several times over, right? He even said that he resigned his state solely for the fact that the president at the time, I think it was Obama at the time, to enter a kind of understanding where
don't ignore what you're saying, that in context, the Arab Spring. The Arab Spring was an earthquake to the whole region. That's why we are suffering from what we're suffering now, because of the Islamic Revolution, or brought the idea of political Islam into the picture.
Yeah, but that's a separate point for now. I'm just trying to address what Narjis and Tariq is saying, and it's just this is completely opposite of what Edward was saying. Edward is completely right on this, where there's a lot of facts that support this narrative that I pointed out, and Edward's completely right. I think the problem here is just that there's just so much speculation as to what could be
because of the actions of Saudi, the MBS's actions. But we did establish we shouldn't look at what Saudi Arabia does publicly, at face value versus what they do internally. And can I just point out real quick, Sam, when you can go back and, when you mentioned Iran, so Iran is actually one of the major variables here regarding Saudi Arabia not giving up the claim of, and strengthening the claim of being the representative of the Islamic world, because
Absolutely.
Iran wants to be the representative of the Islamic world.
Absolutely,
And
yeah.
they're, I mean, it's not really a competition. Well, they're in competition. However, it's not a competition that Iran could win. However, but at the same time, it is still enough of a threat to the Saudi royal family to where that they would actively want to strengthen their position as the supreme leaders of basically the Islamic world.
It's not even a
Yeah, and
competition.
just to
You're talking about Shias and Sunnis. They consider each other
Yeah,
together.
no, but
No,
Shias and
It's not even
Sunnis.
a competition.
No,
So
she
there's only that many minority Shias in the world.
The Shias in the region, Iran, over 90 million people, plus the Shias outside of Iran. These are all still Muslims, and they still fall under the purview of the King of Saudi Arabia if he's the
30% of the population in Saudi is Shiites.
70.